The next wave of Pokemon cards look absolutely wild, and some of the new Mega Pokemon look like they could completely shake up the Pokemon TCG Live meta. We're talking massive HP, huge damage, and attacks that could almost one-shot anything in the game. But which of these cards will actually live up to the hype? Today, we're going to break down 4 of the biggest reveals so far: Mega Galizapod, Mega Golurk, Mega Malar, and the card that everyone's talking about, Mega Rayquaza. Could one of them become the next top tier deck? Let's find out. First up, we've got Mega Galizapod EX. This is a stage 1 Pokemon with 340 HP, which we can bump up with that growing energy, making it one of the tankiest stage 1 Pokemon we've seen for a while. Its first attack, Finishing Blow, costs 1 single grass energy. Normally it does 60 damage, but if our opponent has damage counters on them, that jumps all the way up to 220 damage. That's incredibly good value for 1 energy. Cards like Spiky Energy and Monkey Dory make it way easier to help boost up this damage. And once we start to get those damage counters into play, Galizapod can start popping off and become an absolute monster. Its second attack, Quattro Hold, does 160 damage for 3 colourless energy and prevents your opponent's active Pokemon from being able to retreat next turn. I'm not completely sold on this attack. 3 energy is a big investment, and you are going to need the boss's orders to really take advantage of this effect. That said, you could trap something into the active spot, hit them for 160 damage, and then come in with that Finishing Blow for 220 damage and get that knockout. Overall, I think Mega Galizapod EX is a solid card. It's effective, it's bulky, and it's going to have some great synergy. I don't think it's going to be one of the best decks in the format, but it will definitely get some playtime. Next up is Mega Golurk EX. This is a stage 1 Pokemon with a huge 350 HP, but it does come with a catch. Its ability, Movement Restriction, means you can only attack if you have 10 or more cards in hand. That sounds kind of rough, especially with cards like Judge and Unfair Stamp and a whole bunch of other support cards that can disrupt your hand. Thankfully, there is a workaround. The new Stadium card, Legendary Lava Cave, completely removes abilities from evolved Pokemon, meaning we don't have to worry about that movement restriction. Then there's Goliath Punch that does 300 damage for 2 Psychic Energy, and it does 30 damage to itself. 300 damage for 2 Psychic Energy is incredible. That's enough to knock out almost any EX Pokemon and put pressure on even the biggest Mega Pokemon. The biggest question is consistency. If Legendary Lava Cave can stay in play, Mega Golurk could be one of the hardest hitting attackers in the format. But if your opponent removes that Stadium card at the right time, suddenly you're back to needing 10 cards in hand before you can attack. Because of that, that makes it feel like one of the biggest make or break cards in the reveal so far. I could see Mega Golurk EX ending up either as a top tier powerhouse or a complete flop, with very little middle ground in between. Next up is Mega Malar EX. This is another stage 1 Pokemon with 320 HP. Its first attack, Psycho Marionette, costs 2 Dark Energy and does 70 damage for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. The problem here is consistency. Your damage output completely relies on how many Pokemon your opponent decides to bench, which makes this attack feel a little bit unreliable. Some matches it could hit hard, and others it's going to be pretty underwhelming. Its second attack, Eerie Wave, does 200 damage for 3 Dark Energy, and it confuses your opponent's active Pokemon. Honestly, this attack is fine, 200 damage is respectable, and being able to confuse your opponent can buy you another turn. I can see this working with Darkrai EX, but I don't really feel like it's bringing anything extra to the table. Overall, Mega Malar EX feels a little bit underwhelming, and to be honest, I'm going to say it's pretty much straight up trash. I'm going to be avoiding this card at all costs. Now, let's talk about the card everybody is going to be watching. Mega Rayquaza EX. Unlike the others, this is a basic Pokemon with 280 HP, meaning it's a lot easier to get into play. Its ability, Roar of the Ruler, is where things start to get scary. Whenever you play Rayquaza, from your hand onto your bench, you get to look at the top 4 cards in your deck and you can attach any basic energy you find there onto that Rayquaza. That means you're going to be accelerating energy, setting up multiple Rayquazas all at the same time. Then we've got its attack, Storm Emeralda, which isn't easy to say, guys. This attack does 50 damage for every fire and lightning energy attached to all of your Pokemon. Not just Rayquaza, all of your Pokemon. The damage ceiling on this attack is absolutely redonkulous. If you can flood the board with energy, Rayquaza is basically going to be able to one-shot anything in the game. And it gets even better. And they've made a new tool specifically for Rayquaza. The Mega Rayquaza cap lets you search for basic energy, helping you hit your damage more consistently and getting your future attackers ready on the bench. Then there's a new stadium card, the Legendary Summit. This stadium card makes Color's Pokemon give up one less prize card when they're knocked out. That's just crazy. Giving a high damage basic attacker extra durability in the prize card trade is a huge deal. Honestly, this card looks insane. The only real weakness is that your damage output relies on keeping energy in play. If your opponent can start to take knockouts on energy loaded Pokemon, then your damage can massively fall off. Even with that downside, Mega Rayquaza does look like one of the strongest cards revealed so far, and a serious contender to be top of the meta. After looking through his cards, there looks like there's a pretty clear winner. Mega Galazapod EX looks solid. The combination of huge HP, efficient attacks should make it a strong option, especially with damage counter support. Mega Golurk EX is probably the biggest wildcard of the bunch. Hitting for 300 damage for 2 energy is just incredible, but its success completely relies on Legendary Lavaclave staying in play. It could end up being a top tier threat, or it's just going to struggle with consistency. Mega Malar EX feels more situational. It has some interesting attacks, but it relies a little bit too much on what your opponent's doing for it to be a top tier threat. Then there's Mega Rayquaza EX. Built-in energy acceleration, massive damage potential, support from the Mega Rayquaza cap, built-in energy acceleration, massive damage potential, support from Mega Rayquaza cap, and great synergy from the Legendary Summit. On paper, it has everything you want from a top meta deck. Of course, we are going to actually have to wait and see how these cards actually perform when they arrive in Pokemon TCG Live. Theory and gameplay don't always match up. But based on what we've seen so far, Mega Rayquaza EX is the card that I'm most excited about. And right now, it is my early pick for the strongest Mega Pokemon revealed. Let me know in the comments which of these Mega Pokemon you guys are most excited to play, and who you would think will have the most impact on the meta. And if you enjoyed today's video, please like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below. It really helps the channel grow. Until next time, guys, take care, and I'll catch you all in the next one. See ya!